In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to make the most out of Flair materials to completely customize their behavior and make or break all the rules of physics if artistically needed. I'm Henriette from Artineering and we develop artist-driven tools for stylized rendering. Let's flare things up. In the previous tutorial, we learned everything there is to know about the Material Presets tool, how to create and assign materials, the different loading options, special presets, and methods of saving and organization. Now it is time to go down the rabbit hole of customizing material attributes and their behaviors in all ways possible. Flair materials can be selected and customized within Maya's Hypershade as any other material. However, for most things, we recommend working directly in the viewport, where you can take advantage of the attribute editor to modify materials and directly observe changes in your scene. You quickly do this in Maya by right-click and hold on an object or a selected component and release the mouse over the material attributes at the bottom of the context menu. Or you can use the handy Matte button in the Flair shelf. By clicking it once with an object or component selected, you will automatically select the assigned material. This is useful when you don't want the wireframe of the selection in the way or need to keyframe animation within the material. If you keyframe material attributes, make sure to change the evaluation mode to DG in the Maya animation preferences too, so that they evaluate during playback. Now, if you double-click on the Matte button with an object or component selected, you will not select the assigned material, but change the tab within the attribute editor to the material instead. Once changed, you can quickly view materials of different objects by selecting them. Just make sure to toggle Selection Highlighted off if the wireframe of the selected object gets in the way. The final function within the Matte Shelf button is to select all objects assigned to the material of a selected object. You can do this by selecting the object with the material, right-clicking on the Matte Shelf button and choosing Select Objects Assigned to Selected Material. With the Matte Shelf button covered, let's select the Flair shader material assigned to this object and concentrate on its attributes within the attribute editor. Each Flair shader material is divided into two main sections: the settings, which are attributes that enable or disable material features here in dark gray, and all the other attributes that depend on what settings are enabled in the material. The first settings specify the base behavior of the Flair shader material. Toon Shaded will toggle toon shading, changing the shading behavior entirely and showing the Toon Shaded attributes that control the Toon Shaded material. Most settings will show new attributes in the attribute editor to customize its behavior, and we want to go into each feature and their attributes in separate tutorials. In the meantime, you can learn more about them in the Flair documentation by pressing the Docs shelf icon and navigate to Materials, Flair Shader. Once there, open up the table of contents and under Settings, select the setting that you wish to learn more about. You will then see the attribute it toggles and detailed explanations with videos about what each attribute does. If you like how thoroughly the documentation is, give us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to our channel with the bell icon to be notified about future tutorials like this. Back to Maya. In case you have documentation allergies for each attribute, you can also read the tooltips in the attribute editor by hovering over them and just try the attributes out yourself. You should get that allergy treated though. The next general setting is animated, which should be toggled on materials that are assigned onto animated objects. This setting won't show new attributes, but will instead bake positions, allowing features like noise effects and velocity to follow the object along while moving. The remaining sections within settings are lighting, containing all lighting-related features, features that dictate what the material should render, and geometry, concerning features affecting rendered geometry. Underneath settings, each Flair shader material will show two groups of attributes by default: painterly shading and shading. As the name implies, painterly shading attributes contain all attributes that change the material in painterly ways. Because these are not physically based, most of these attributes will change the albedo AUV, so this is something to keep in mind in case you want to do further compositing. The first segment contains attributes that modify colors in lit parts of the object. Cangiante will change the color towards a brighter related hue, so orange may turn to yellow, purple to magenta, blue to cyan, and so forth. This is inspired by painting techniques used in the Renaissance to avoid just adding white or black to depict shading. We use it quite often, even on textured objects, to add a bit of flair. Pun intended. Cangiante wrap in turn defines the area of effect of the Cangiante behavior. Custom light overrides the color in lit parts of the objects. This is useful to dilute colors in lit parts of objects or to add a tint to base albedo colors. Custom light wrap in turn defines the area of effect of the custom light, and custom light color allows to specify the color of the custom light. The second segment contains attributes that modify colors in the unlit parts of the object. Diffuse factor defines how diffuse a shader should be. A diffuse factor of 1 will be completely diffuse shaded, depending entirely on the scene lights and lighting. A diffuse factor of 0 will instead be flat shaded. This attribute is useful when you don't want to deal much with lighting and just want a quick and dirty result. Custom shade is similar to custom light, in which it overrides the color of the unlit parts of the object. You can use this attribute to fake bounced light or simply tint unlit regions. Custom shade wrap in turn defines the area of effect of the custom shade. Custom shade color allows to specify the color of the custom shade and the color of the shadow color offset. The shadow color offset overrides the shadow color within lights, shading objects towards the custom shade color instead. This attribute is useful when you just want to think in terms of color instead of lighting during shading. These painterly attributes can generate all sorts of crazy color combinations and behaviors that are not common in most shading workflows. Thankfully, you don't have to use them, as they're completely optional. You can also collapse the group and only work with the shading group instead. Shading defines how much light should affect the material, allowing you to darken objects if for some reason they're too bright. Color tint allows to tint the albedo with custom colors, making quick color corrections possible. Albedo defines the base color of the material and objects assigned to it. You can either use it as a color or add any kind of texture to it, provided there are Maya nodes and not renderer specific nodes from other renderers. Normal map accepts normal textures in tangent space containing the normal deviations of the surface in the red and green channels, adding geometry details without additional polygons. If you have no idea what a tangent space normal is, it is the most common type of normal maps. Finally, bump depth defines how strong the normal map changes are. Positive values will increase the bump, whereas negative values will flip the U-normals while increasing the bump in case normals are encoded differently. We've covered a lot here, from different ways of working with the matte shelf button to the Flair shader material anatomy with its settings and attributes. We also learned what the default painterly and normal shading attributes do. We've only scratched the surface of the Flair shader material and its features, so make sure to explore each setting and attribute further by yourself and refer to other tutorials and the documentation to learn more, linked in the description below. With the basics of working with Flair materials covered, it is time for us to speed up the material-based workflow and learn how to quickly and effectively change attributes of multiple materials at the same time using the bulk attribute tool. If you love what we're doing, make sure to purchase a commercial license or become our Patreon to use Flair without resolution limitations and have your name appear in this beautiful list of credits. Thanks for watching, and let's bulk up in the next one.